Le Classique today was a hard-fought match. Quite frankly, it was an entertaining match, although I have to say that an own goal kind of ruined it for me personally. Nonetheless, Paris Saint-Germain remains unbeaten and have a 19-point lead over second place Olympique de Marseille in the French Ligue 1. It seems more crystal clear than ever that Les Parisiens will in fact secure the Ligue 1 title once again. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Into the Net FC. My name is AlexAlKazzaz, and I'm also known as the Bear of Texas. And well, when I thought that Olympique de Marseille was perfectly capable of giving Paris Saint-Germain their first loss of the season, well, to be honest with you, many thought I was absolutely crazy considering that Paris Saint-Germain is coming off a huge, and I mean a huge victory in the Champions League, eliminating Liverpool at Anfield. Well, like I said, one team can go from having a huge win in a Champions League to suffering an embarrassing loss in regular domestic play. We've seen it before. We've seen Paris Saint-Germain suffer something like this before. They would have a huge win in the Champions League only to suffer an embarrassing loss in Ligue 1. Well, for Les Parisiens, it did not happen today. Now, I can't say that Paris Saint-Germain continued their dominance, but don't get me wrong. Paris Saint-Germain played very, very well today against Olympique de Marseille. This edition of Le Classique was entertaining. But as I said as I was introducing in the episode, an own goal ruined it for me. Now, why is that? Why is that, ladies and gentlemen? Is it because I personally do not like own goals? Well, I will say I have a personal dislike for own goals, but not quite. Not quite. You see, Paris Saint-Germain had a 2-0 lead at one point. And when Olympique de Marseille cut that lead in half early in the second half, there was a chance that not only Marseille could have actually equalized, but possibly actually complete a turnaround. Yes, as crazy as it sounds, Olympique de Marseille probably coulda, shoulda won this game. Now, I know that a lot of Marseille fans might be thinking that I'm absolutely insane, okay? Now, some Marseille fans are probably upset because I'm saying this because this is after the loss. Look, I was watching the game, okay? As a matter of fact, I was watching this game with my French compatriot Laurent. As a matter of fact, my other French compatriot Anthony was actually watching this at a bar in Los Angeles, and my good friend and my mentor, Mr. Steve Adams, was there. So, Steve gave his thoughts on this one. And to be honest with you, based on what I saw, even Laurent agrees. Marseille really, honestly gave it their best. Marseille would have loved nothing more than to hand Les Parisiens their first loss in Ligue 1. Even if Paris Saint-Germain had actually lost this game, it would have made very little to absolutely zero difference. Because Paris Saint-Germain has a commanding lead in Ligue 1. 21 wins and 5 draws and 0 losses. They're at 68 points, 19 points clear ahead of second place Olympique de Marseille. So for Olympique de Marseille, this is a bit of a situation because they're only 2 points ahead of third place and fourth place Monaco and Nice. Nice is in fourth and Monaco's in third. Okay? Now the club of my hometown, Lyon, is about 4 points behind second place Olympique de Marseille. With still some football left to play, well, we'll see how the other rankings change. But as far as I'm concerned, I mean, I should even say this because at this point it's clear there is no way that Paris Saint-Germain does not win Ligue 1. So there's that. Well, to see Ousmane Dembele open the scoring for Les Parisiens, well, it was certainly great. He was the one who scored for Les Parisiens against Liverpool. So Ousmane Dembele gave Paris Saint-Germain the lead in the 17th minute. PSG could have doubled it by the time they got on the scoreboard again, but unfortunately didn't. In the 42nd minute, Nuno Mendes made it 2-0 for Les Parisiens. So at that point, it was clear that Les Parisiens were in control, and it didn't look like it was going to change. Because make no mistake about it, Olympique de Marseille was going very well on both the attack and on defense. Marseille seemed to be a very well-balanced team. But unfortunately, everything that they were giving, Paris Saint-Germain was able to find a way past it. Not all the time, but one way or the other, Paris Saint-Germain found a way through Olympique de Marseille's brutal and worthy challenges. Now, amazingly, both goals scored by Les Parisiens came with an assist. Fabian Ruiz provided the assist to both goals. Now, Paris Saint-Germain dominated with ball possession, but that doesn't always guarantee a win. Now, as far as expected goals go, Paris Saint-Germain is at 2.27, and Olympique de Marseille is at 0.963. Olympique de Marseille had 2 shots on target, and they made one of them count. So that means Donnarumma had 1 save. But make no mistake about it, ladies and gentlemen, just because Olympique de Marseille only had 2 shots on target, that does not mean that they only had 2 chances to score. They had several other chances to score, but they could not get it done. But at the same time, I'm refusing to discredit Olympique de Marseille because they gave Paris Saint-Germain a true run for their money. But at the end of the day, Paris Saint-Germain is the one that came out on top. Technically, they're already on top because they're on, that commanding lead in Ligue 1. But what I'm saying is, no matter what, PSG, they're the ones that actually got the win. PSG had 5 shots on target. 5 shots on target. Now, technically only 2 counted because the third goal that they scored, again, was an own goal. And unfortunately, it did not do me any good personally because, again, as I said, it ruined the game. Because at that point, the own goal, that was it for Marseille. Marseille was not going to come back from that. That own goal, I'm going to be honest with you, that own goal, honestly, was in fact a momentum killer. Now, it came in the 76th minute, so at that point, it was probably done. So if it wasn't for that own goal, and because of the momentum and the pressure that Marseille was inflicting on Paris Saint-Germain, I had a feeling that Marseille was actually going to find an equalizer. Ultimately, it did not happen. It's very, very unfortunate, but, it is what it is. At the same time, you cannot really be mad at Paris Saint-Germain simply because they were the better team. Well, both teams, honestly, like I said, really giving it their best. Now, a combined 9 shots were blocked in this one. 9. But Marseille, on the other hand, actually had 2 counterattacks while Paris Saint-Germain had 0. So Marseille was really showing that resilience. They were really showing that courageous effort. Marseille entered Parc des Princes knowing that even though PSG has a commanding 19-point lead ahead of them, Olympique de Marseille was determined to prove that no matter how strong and how good Paris Saint-Germain is, especially coming off that huge win in the Champions League over Liverpool, Marseille was absolutely determined to prove that they were worthy of challenging Les Parisiens, and they did. It's unfortunate that own goal really had to basically... It's just a shame that it had to happen. Sometimes they will. They really will. But Paris Saint-Germain was really building up on that play, and the Marseille defender really honestly just committed an error. Well, based on that play, I would say if the Marseille defender had allowed the goalie to actually go for the ball, it probably would not have happened. Very likely would not have happened. But I understand. The Marseille defender was making a judgment call. This is not about distrust or selfishness. This was just an act of doing something. Basically, he didn't want to wait. He wanted to do his job as a defender, and of course, his intention was to kick the ball out of bounds, and that would have given Paris Saint-Germain a corner, which would have been no big deal. Now, the Marseille goalie made 3 saves, which was great, and the Marseille goalie was, in fact, fantastic. As I said, Donnarumma only had 1 save. But we got to talk about how brilliant Marseille's defense was. And I've been doing that the whole entire episode, but let me actually take it one step further. 21 clearances. 21 clearances. So how many times did Paris Saint-Germain threaten only for Marseille to make a stop and clear the ball away from danger? But if I'm going to praise Olympique de Marseille for being brilliant on the clearances, I might as well give that credit to Paris Saint-Germain as well. Because they had 18 clearances. PSG had 4 interceptions, and Marseille only had 1. So we saw some very, very respectable defending from both, and it was great. It was certainly good. I really wanted to be this edition of Le Classique to be heavily contested. As I was watching the game with my friend Laurent, he and I made a score prediction before the game. I predicted PSG would win 2-1. He predicted 3-1. So obviously, Laurent wins that one. Now, interestingly enough, only 1 yellow card was issued in this game. Only 1 yellow card. Figured in Le Classique there would be at least 3 yellow cards from both sides, right? Not always the case. A combined 16 fouls were committed and only one yellow card. So that tells me something. But PSG and Marseille really put forth that effort. I mean, they made the game entertaining. Now, I'm not going to say that the game was completely ruined, like this game was all the effort was all for naught because of that own goal. I just basically said that own goal just kind of personally ruined it for me. I would say that the game was great up until that point. Now, I know I sound like I'm very, very exaggerating. I sound a little bit selfish and ungrateful. It's just that, again, Marseille had all that momentum. Paris Saint-Germain supposedly catches a bit of a break when Achraf Hakimi has control, attempts to make a cross, but the Marseille defender messes up and puts the ball into the back of his own net. Again, it's because of how it happened is what really kind of damaged it for me. Again, I'm grateful to have watched this game with my French compatriot Laurent. This was the first time in a very, very long time that I actually got a chance to watch Le Classique. So, I just feel like the own goal, I just wish it would not have happened. I would have preferred it that if PSG would have won 2-1, I wouldn't have wanted it like that just to get my prediction come true. I wanted it because I wanted PSG to fight every single second of the game, and they did. Even when they were up 3-1, PSG was still fighting. So make no mistake about it, PSG never stopped. But again, I can't stress it enough. I just wish that the own goal had never happened because again, I'm not a fan of own goals, and I feel like the way it happened, it really honestly did not look good for Olympique de Marseille. So apparently right now, I have a lot of remorse for this Olympique de Marseille team that really showed up at Parc des Princes and challenged Paris Saint-Germain. So before I kind of take a look at the lineups, this is the last thing I do. Well, when Ousmane Dembele scored, well, that was really, really frustrating for Marseille considering the blunder by Marseille's goalie. Now, Marseille's goalie again made 3 saves and played a very respectable game. But that particular error, it was really frustrating. Now, while the goalie basically made the error, now Ousmane Dembele was running up the field and had control. At first, it seemed that Ousmane Dembele took too long and had wasted a scoring opportunity. But because Ousmane Dembele maintained control and did not let that goalie getting in his way stop him, Ousmane Dembele maintained ball control and got past the goalie who fell to the ground. But there were still 2 defenders ahead of Ousmane Dembele. Ousmane Dembele trusted his instincts, trusted himself, went for it, made a shot, and the last defender that was right there, right in front of the line for the goalie, attempted to make a block, and it didn't happen. Even basically, I can honestly say, if you saw that play, the Marseille defender honestly thought for a second he was a goalie because he did almost use his hand. I mean, the ball literally went past his hand. If he had made contact with the ball with his hand, well, Paris Saint-Germain would have been awarded a penalty. So Dembele really took advantage of the situation, and Dembele finished brilliantly, just like he did against Liverpool. I can honestly say that this finish was a whole lot better than the goal he had against Liverpool. Now, this is not a knock on Dembele. Because the goal against Liverpool was brilliant, but this one was even more brilliant because he managed to basically take advantage of the goalie's blunder. And he still managed to make it past 2 defenders after that, making a big shot. So congratulations to Ousmane Dembele on a brilliant goal. When Nuno Mendes scored, well, the goalie really tried to make the effort, but this time the goalie just could not make the stop. The goalie made contact with the ball, but the ball still went to the back of the net. So, someone would ask, is that an own goal? No, it's just the goalie attempting to make the save, attempting to make contact with the ball, but the ball still goes in the back of the net. So Paris Saint-Germain takes a 2-0 lead off of 2 brilliant goals. And as I said earlier, at that point, it seemed as though PSG was not only in control, but very likely would maintain control. But in the 51st minute, Olympique de Marseille cuts that lead in half. And what do you know? They score in a similar fashion to how PSG opened the game with the first goal. Sorry, y'all. Sometimes the adrenaline goes so far, I talk a little too fast, and I kind of mess up. So allow me to say it again. Amine Gouiri, the Marseille player, well, I believe I said the name correctly. Gouiri scores in a very similar fashion to how PSG scored earlier. Donnarumma was completely fooled on that one. Well, I don't know if I should say that if Donnarumma was fooled or if he just basically underestimated the situation. However you want to say it, the bottom line is Marseille scored and it was brilliant, and it was much similar to how Ousmane Dembele scored. So at that point, it was clear that Marseille was still in the game. And the fact that Marseille put themselves back in the game in the 51st minute, well, it showed that we still had a game to look forward to. Yes, Amine Gouiri cut it in half for Olympique de Marseille. Amine Gouiri, 25-year-old attacker who represents the Algerian national team, represents Algeria. He's a very, very talented player, no doubt about it. And Amine Gouiri really honestly set pace, and much like Ousmane Dembele, Gouiri actually kept his confidence, he kept his focus, and it worked out very, very well. So what an effort. What an effort from both teams. What an effort indeed. Both teams actually should be very, very proud. Now, Paris Saint-Germain, again, got this win, and now they have a huge lead ahead. I mean, again, a loss very likely wouldn't have done anything. The only negative it would have been for Les Parisiens is, well, there goes the unbeaten streak. Now, PSG has yet to lose in Ligue 1. Now, anything could happen, but honestly, I thought that Marseille honestly had a chance to give Les Parisiens their first loss of the season. And wouldn't have been something. Wouldn't it have been something if Olympique de Marseille gives Les Parisiens their first loss of the season? Unfortunately, it did not happen. And therefore, once again, Paris Saint-Germain goes through the Ligue 1 season, getting both wins against Olympique de Marseille. Well, it just goes to show that whether we like Paris Saint-Germain or not, they were the better team. They were the better team. And for the record, I speak about my good friend, my good friend Anthony. And I also mentioned this about my good friend and my mentor, Mr. Steve Adams. See, both those guys cannot stand PSG because, of course, they're Marseille fans, but I think it's more than that. Even Anthony himself actually gave credit to Paris Saint-Germain as I spoke to him last night. So Anthony, I mean, don't get it twisted. It's not like Anthony was cheering for PSG. I mean, Anthony still said he does not want them to win the Champions League. So Anthony did in fact give credit to where credit's due. I mean, at this point, you might as well. If you have that much passion and knowledge and love for the game, you might as well give credit to where credit's due, even if it means crediting a team that you just absolutely dislike. I mean, for the record, ladies and gentlemen, I have a history. I have notoriety for unleashing barrages of massive criticism on Paris Saint-Germain. In other words, I have a history of burying Paris Saint-Germain. And I can honestly say that for me to be in a position to where I can't do it, especially from what we saw against Liverpool, well, I only hope that Paris Saint-Germain continues to keep it that way. If Paris Saint-Germain wins the Champions League, I will in fact give them all the credit in the world. I will praise them for not believing. Not long ago, it looked as though PSG would miss out on going to the knockout stage of the Champions League. Well, at first I should say they would fail to qualify for the playoff before getting to the round of 16. But PSG soared. They roared back in the last two games, and they got the job done in a spectacular fashion. So, PSG, not once, but twice, has proved me wrong so far in this Champions League. I honestly hope that they do it again. And if PSG does in fact win the Champions League, well, I'll take full responsibility for it. Okay, well, now let's take a look at the starting lineups and the formations. Well, Olympique de Marseille went with 3 defenders, 4 midfielders, 2 forwards, and a striker. Amine Gouiri was deployed as the sole striker. And of course, he got the goal. It was brilliant. Brilliantly set up, too. And honestly, the Gouiri goal, well, it was certainly a blunder on the defender who made a horrible pass. So I forget, like, you know, but I think also Donnarumma also made an error, but the error was mainly on the defender that made a bad pass. And the defender that made a bad pass, I mean, well, the player was just at the right place at the right time. And, well, as far as I'm concerned, Gouiri actually did it without an assist. So again, there was certainly an error. When Olympique de Marseille scored, it was off a huge blunder from Paris Saint-Germain, but PSG still managed to recover from it because they added a third goal, but unfortunately it was off of a third goal. So I'm glad I mentioned that. So Rabiot, the French captain for Olympique de Marseille, I think had a fantastic game as well. The whole Olympique de Marseille team, they really look, honestly, they look massively fearless. Now, they're obviously not as, the team is not obviously as talented as Paris Saint-Germain, But make no mistake, Olympique de Marseille is still a strong team. As I was speaking to my friend Anthony, and of course I talked to Steve about this before, a couple weeks ago. Steve and Anthony, they sincerely hope that in the next couple of years, Olympique de Marseille can continue to build and get stronger. If in the next couple of years, if the likes of Marseille, Monaco, and hopefully Nice and or Lyon can actually make the Champions League, well, it would certainly be a great thing for French football. Now, Olympique Lyonnais, believe it or not, they're actually set to face Manchester United in the quarterfinals of the Europa League. So, seeing Olympique Lyonnais, despite all the issues that they're dealing with, from finances, I think, to one of their managers being suspended and everything, Olympique Lyonnais being in the quarterfinals of the Europa League is something huge. And if Olympique Lyonnais actually defeats and eliminates Manchester United, personally, I'll be very, very happy because, again, ladies and gentlemen, I am from Lyon. Lyon is my beautiful French hometown. So French football has a bit of a surge right now. But as far as I'm concerned, obviously, when we take a look at the standings from this one, well, which we'll get to, seeing like three of the big French clubs actually make it to the Champions League is something huge. So if Marseille and Monaco also make it to the Champions League along with Paris Saint-Germain, well, it's something great to look forward to. Sadly, this week Ligue got eliminated, which really broke my heart. Monaco had all that potential, and then they got knocked out in the playoff and they couldn't make it to the round of 16. So the French football right now has a bit of a surge after a huge step backwards in the Champions League after the elimination of Lille, after Monaco failed to make it to the round of 16. Well, French football has a bit of a surge. So now looking at the formation of Paris Saint-Germain, the front three: Désiré Doué, Ousmane Dembele, and Kvaratskhelia, which I'm practicing. Kvaratskhelia is one hell of a talented player, let me tell you. Kvaratskhelia has a huge future with Paris Saint-Germain. And don't be surprised if after this season, if Kvaratskhelia continues to be so dominant within the next 2 seasons, he is going to have offers to play for the bigger clubs. But don't be surprised if PSG offers him a lot of money to stay. So you have Kvaratskhelia, Ousmane Dembele, and Désiré Doué in the front three. It's great to see two Frenchmen, in the front three attack for Paris Saint-Germain. And speaking of Désiré Doué, the 19-year-old, got his first call up to the senior squad of the French national team for the quarterfinals Nations League match against Croatia. And, seeing actually, Warren Zaïre-Emery get to start also in the midfield alongside Vitinha, who was under center, and Fabien Ruiz, who was on the other side. So Ousmane Dembele was in the center for Paris Saint-Germain, was the center striker. And aside from him, you had Kvaratskhelia and Désiré Doué. And then behind him, you had Fabien Ruiz, Vitinha, who, by the way, Vitinha was in the center, and Warren Zaïre-Emery behind Désiré Doué. In the backfield, you had Nuno Mendes, who provided one of the assists, who's the one who actually got the yellow card in this one. You also had Paco and Beraldo and Achraf Hakimi, who was captain for this one, and of course, Donnarumma in the goalie position. So, man, Marquinhos actually stayed on the bench. It was great to see Lucas Hernandez actually get a chance to play. I wonder when was the last time Lucas Hernandez played. I mean, I know that he missed a lot of time due to a torn ACL. As a matter of fact, he missed the Euro from last summer. Bradley Barcola didn't get the start, but actually came in the 64th minute. I didn't think it was necessary for Barcola to start, but personally, I would have loved to see him get the start. But seeing President Kimpembe, still on the bench, but him not playing, I mean, I really hope to see him play sometime soon. But I really have a feeling that President Kimpembe will not get any playing time at all this season because, as he's still recovering. But he's on the bench, so hopefully we'll see him play. So we'll see. I can actually say, seeing all these Frenchmen that got a chance to play. I mean, seeing Adrien Rabiot, Warren Zaïre-Emery, Désiré Doué, Ousmane Dembele, a total of 4 Frenchmen. 4 Frenchmen actually get the start in this one game. Man, that's awesome. But then again, this is the French Le Classique, so obviously you're going to see several French players, contest in this one. So, one hell of a game. One hell of a game for Olympique de Marseille and for Paris Saint-Germain, but unfortunately, it's better right now. It's more of a hell of a game for Paris Saint-Germain since they're the ones who came out on top. Well, now taking a look at the standings once again. Well, as I said right now, Paris Saint-Germain is on top with 68 points, 19 points ahead of Olympique de Marseille, who's in second. Monaco's in third. Nice is in fourth. Lyon is in fifth, and Lille is in sixth. Well, Lille has certainly dropped down a few spots. You know, the game between Montpellier and Saint-Etienne, I believe, actually got canceled because of, well, I don't know what happened exactly, but, well, from the looks of it right here, well, things, you know, for the Champions League, I think it's the top two spots that automatically qualify for the Champions League. Third place, I think, would qualify you for the qualification round, and then after that, I think in fourth place, it would be the Europa League, so, and then after that, I think it would be a Europa League Conference League, so, yeah, so only 2 clubs are actually going to be in the Champions League, but we'll see. Right now, if the season had ended today, it would be Paris Saint-Germain and Marseille going to the Champions League. But, you know, anything could happen. Anything could happen. Well, at one point, it looked as though Jonathan David would have a huge chance of being the top scorer for this one, but unfortunately, that's no longer the case. Ousmane Dembele actually has a clear lead in the award for top scorer for Ligue 1. I believe he has 21 goals total. He has scored quite a bit of goals, actually, for Paris Saint-Germain this season. Ousmane Dembele really is having quite a season for Paris Saint-Germain, and I'm really, really happy for him. You know, Ousmane Dembele at 27 years old, you know, all those years in Barcelona, and just, I mean, his time in Barcelona was very, very tough for him. It was very, 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 very tough for Ousmane Dembele, but it's not as if he never accomplished anything. He did accomplish quite a bit in Barcelona, but you know, it started out with these injuries, and then, you know, I think injuries were just a huge issue, especially. But you know, in July of 2022, when he signed an extension with Barcelona, man, his release clause was set to be at 50 million euros, but then it was raised to 100 million in August of 2023. But just less than a year after his contract extension, Dembele actually joined Paris Saint-Germain on a contract for a fee of 50.4 million euros. So, and because, you know, it was clear that after Dembele had signed an extension, he still had desires to leave Barcelona. So Barcelona decided to go ahead and accommodate him. So, man, of course, Dembele scored that stoppage time game winner against Monaco in the 2024 Trophée des Champions. So Dembele has really been doing great for Paris Saint-Germain. Of course, he scored his goal in the penalty shootout against Liverpool. So, again, Dembele really is, he's really contributing well for Les Parisiens. You know, he reached the 30-goal mark so far this season, which is actually, I believe, a career high. So for Ousmane Dembele to score 30 goals so far this season in about 37 appearances, I mean, that's a career high. So Dembele really is having the best season so far of his career. And if Paris Saint-Germain is able to win the Champions League, and if Ousmane Dembele continues to play a huge role in that, well, honestly, it's going to be the best season in his career. And who knows, he could have the potential to have an even better one in the foreseeable future, but we'll have to wait and see. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, Into the Net FC is available on Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, Pandora, and on YouTube. So if you're listening on Spotify or on Apple Podcast or on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. That way, I know for sure that you're not going to miss out on any exciting upcoming content. Also, if you're listening on Spotify or on Apple, if you would please leave a 5-star review, that would greatly appreciate it. Thank you all very, very much. Y'all have a good one, and God bless.